So I've got a video that I want to watch while we're getting people in right now, and it's called AI's Downfall is Bitterly Ironic. And I'm going to be honest, I'm interested to see what the perspective on this video is. I've basically given my perspective on this technology into the goddamn ground. I think that it is a largely unnecessary tech. There are areas where it does do very decent things when it comes to the medical industry. There is a strange delineation between generative AI and large language models in general that we don't tend to use at all. Almost everybody, when they say AI, they mean both at the same time. And let's be honest, that's entirely on purpose. That is exactly what AI companies want you to do. They want you to think those are the exact same thing. So that said, let's go ahead and take a look at this particular video here. It's from a channel called Scroll Deep, and let's see what's going on.
The thing that might kill AI is already here, and it's coming from inside the house. AI is too expensive, and it's damn near bankrupting the very companies that have been insisting it's the future. Now,
I mean, that's venture capital. Like, that is venture capital in a nutshell. And that is one of the problems with venture capital, is that whenever you are on a venture capital fund, it means that there is a point in time where you have to pay the Pied Piper. You have to. And if you are not willing to do so, then shit gets really dumb for you really fucking fast. A really good example of this historically has been Netflix. The reason that Netflix got more expensive over time has less to do with any of their weird licensing agreements and more to do with the fact that Netflix was begun as a venture capital venture. It was done in order to kill things like Blockbuster, and the way that it was pitched, it was going to be this thing that was, it's the future, it's great, it's fantastic. And technically, yes, that is what happened. Netflix was great, and it was fantastic for a little while. But now we have every streaming service on the planet, and it's very hard to actually get what you want. And that's because as Netflix became less profitable, they had to do things like drop licensing agreements that they were holding on for legacy content. They had to do things like increase the amount of money that you had to spend in order to have access to Netflix. Like, all of that stuff ended up happening because at some point you have to deal with the fact that your money is limited, and it is coming from somebody who wants to make money off of your product. And if you are not profitable enough for them fast enough, then things get really fucking shitty for you. With Netflix, they were able to actually change the way that their model operated to try to stay afloat for a little while longer. But AI, on the other hand, like, how do you profit off of it? Like, the only way you can profit off AI at scale is to have everybody subscribing to it at once, which means you have to have a version of it that is used by a business that is paid for monthly by a fuck ton of people, and you have to have a fuck ton of people that are just like normie users paying for the AI as well. And then you need to subsidize all of the goddamn power that you are spending at the same time. So that's expensive.
Even tech giants are telling their workers to stop using AI and mulling whether hiring humans might actually be more efficient. Who could have guessed? This comes on the...
Yeah, it's almost like firing 3 people so that you can have an AI do something and then having to rehire one of them at a higher rate, mind you, as a specialist so that they can fix everything the AI breaks is, it's really funny, actually. It is really funny to me. Maybe it shouldn't be, but it definitely is.
The heels of the Pope slamming AI, so not a great week for our artificial friend. We have all the info right here on Scroll Deep, as always, the show that keeps up with internet nonsense, so you don't...
Jassa says also not take up double the amount of electricity generated by an entire state. So I want to offer pushback on statements like that, actually, because I think they're really not useful. So to put it in perspective, if you are putting in a query to ChatGPT, that uses up the same amount of energy as it does to power an LED light bulb for about a second. To generate an image, that uses about the amount of energy it takes to power that light bulb for 30 seconds. Yes, that is a decent amount of energy expenditure, but we look at the amount of energy that the technology pulls, it, like, as a whole, like the entirety of the tech from top to bottom, and then make a judgment call based on that. Like, there are better ways to make that judgment call that actually are accurate to how much energy is being used. Because if it's the amount of energy that's being done by an entire state doubled, well, what state are we talking about? And also, on top of that, what does that number actually look like? And what does that number look like in comparison to other fields? Talking about specifically the Utah 40K acre Kevin O'Leary data center. Okay, so that is a... You can understand my confusion when you say, and uses more than an entire state, like more than an entire state. Are you talking about all of AI? Are you talking about ChatGPT specifically? Are we talking about Gemini specifically? Like, I don't like AI, but I don't think that that kind of argumentation method works. Said just Kevin's data center. Right. And where is the data being pulled from at that point? Like, there's still information here that is missing in order to come to a judgment call there. That said, I'm going to go ahead and continue the video, but I think that if we are to try to fight against this tech, it behooves us to get as researched on it as possible so that we can know how to actually argue against people who are sycophants for it. Because if we don't, then we end up getting shit wrong and we just look like idiots. Like, it sucks to be morally correct and then be technically incorrect on everything else, so nobody wants to actually listen to you. Like, that doesn't help anybody.
Don't have to. Hosted by me, Benedict Townsend. One day I'll work out what the correct order of that is. AI, artificial intelligence. The thing we all know and love that burns water to do something. I don't know. It's fun to use. No one knows.
I think that's a funny joke, but let's go ahead and get a couple things out of the way. It doesn't burn water. Water doesn't disappear. Now, it does remove a certain amount of groundwater. That is something that it actually does do. The technology, as you are training a data center, the amount of water that is required to keep that data center going without blowing up, you do end up using a lot of groundwater, which does have an environmental impact because that water doesn't become groundwater again, magically. But at the same time, we also have wells, so the other thing is saying, like, oh, nobody knows what it's for. I mean, if somebody's using it to translate language in real time, like, that is a thing that it's for. That's a thing it's doing. If somebody's using it to organize stuff, that is a thing it's for. That's a thing that it's doing. And a thing that one guy is getting really, really angry at me for using as an example on my my main channel.
That's what it really does. Anyway, I'm sure we can all agree that our favorite thing about AI is that it's completely free and that you can use as much of it as you want and never have to pay a penny. Yippee! Yippee!
Until...
Oh, it's not free. And now we're billions of dollars in debt because we bought tokens from a man named Claude, like we're at a French arcade. That's right. Giant companies have started dramatically backtracking on letting their employees use AI because they all kept using it. I spoke to Scroll Deep's in-house accountant, Giuseppe Denari, who said, "It costed too much money." Thank you, Giuseppe. Amazon, for example, had a literal leaderboard to encourage employees to use as much AI as possible.
Okay, that's just fucking gross. That's just fucking gross. Why would you do that? Why? Okay, I know the exact reason why you would do that. It's very, very simple. You have something like that so that you make people more reliant on the technology. We actually do know that the way that general people operate in regards to AI and any technology that lets you offload stuff is we become increasingly reliant on it. And through that over-reliance on it, we start to not remember how to do tasks without it. And if you are not able to do tasks without that software anymore, then again, you are reliant on the software. So you are going to do everything in your power to continue to use the software, even if you probably shouldn't use that software. Did you hear about the Tomb Raider AI fiasco? More specifically, the more recent explanation for why the devs were using it. I have heard that there is a fiasco there, but I haven't dug into the specifics on what it is. Maybe that's something I need to do as well. Like, I know that there is a thing in the games industry in regards to Tomb Raider, and people are mad. But that's literally as far as I know at the moment. Stego says, which is why we couldn't use Gen AI. You mean shouldn't use Gen AI? Because, like, people can use it. Like, they could use it right now. I'm assuming you meant shouldn't use Gen AI.
And then they took that down when employees started using AI as much as possible. They had leaderboard titles like Immortal and Token Legend. 85,000 employees competed to reach the top of the leaderboard, and in the end it cost them $200 billion in yearly AI spend. Now, for
oh my fucking god, that's hilarious. That is fantastic. How do you suck that much? Like, just as... Okay, so Amazon sucks as a company. We all know that. But it's such a dumb fucking business decision to just hemorrhage money like that. And that's all it is. It's just hemorrhaging all of the goddamn money in the world. It said, get fucked, scrub. Yeah, no, there are so many things you could have done that were not that stupid shit. And yet, you wanted people to become so overly reliant on the technology that you would force them to use it, or not force them, suggest lightly through psychological means that they use it.
For context, the lowest amount of dollars you can have is $1. So this is 200 billion times more than that. Meanwhile, at Microsoft, The Verge reports that the computer company has reportedly started cancelling most of its direct Claude Code licenses and has instead moved engineers towards the GitHub Copilot CLI. Sure. This comes just 6 months.
So, okay. Marco says, TLDR, the devs basically said without saying that they had to use it to assuage an executive who doesn't know what work in progress means and threw a fit when he saw a pre-production gameplay with placeholder assets and the effects not added yet. So they basically used AI to make prettier looking placeholder assets rather than grayboxing it. I mean, I feel bad for the devs in that case. I'm going to be honest, almost every time I hear some, like, horror story in regards to AI, like, mass use, not individual use. Like, individual use, the horror stories are things like, you know, people committing suicide and shit. But individual use, one of the things that I see repeated a lot, which is really frustrating, is almost always this story of, like, there was one guy at the top who desperately needed you to do this, and it fucked over everybody. It was never something necessary. Like, it was never a necessary thing. Just like it's never necessary to tell everybody in your fucking place to use AI specifically, because if they don't, they won't be on the leaderboard or some shit. Jassa says, and murder, lots and lots of murder. So I do want to remind you, and remind everybody by proxy, that in just about every situation where AI has been used as, like, a thing that assisted in a killing, bear in mind that person was, and we have done, these are the studies we did on AI psychosis. The people who are doing that are going to do that irrespective of the AI. They're going to find another way to do it. They're going to go on to R9K in order to figure out their shit instead. Like, they're going to do that regardless. However, I can't say the same thing for the suicides. Because with the suicides, when the AI doesn't have guardrails and it is actually, like, telling people they should kill themselves, the fuck? Jessa says, my problem is that OpenAI didn't report the chat logs to the authorities. And again, that's a guardrails thing. That is a guardrails thing. One of the biggest problems with AI is that people try to make the technology operate too fast, and then go, like, say stupid shit like, oh, the guardrails aren't necessary. We are gonna keep going as fast as possible. We're gonna go fast and break shit, and it's gonna be A-okay. But it's not A-okay. It's a new technology. It needs to be given the respect it deserves. And in order to give it the respect it deserves, you need to be willing to put on the fucking brakes when you think that it's gonna, I don't know, cause a death or two.
months after they opened up access to Claude and encouraged all of their developers to basically just go absolutely ham on it. Now, I don't know who this Claude guy is, but everyone seems very mad at him. Probably the wildest one was an employee at an unnamed enterprise company, so it'd be one of the big companies, who a single person accidentally or somehow spent $500 million in a month on...
How do you accidentally spend $500 million in a single month? Also, if my channel was large enough to suggest one of the ways that I think we can combat AI, I would push it harder, but I don't think my channel's large enough to have a big impact here. But, like, if you really want to fuck over AI companies, a really easy way is to en masse make bots on your computer that are constantly querying. Like, think about it. If a person has 2 million subscribers and just half of them are constantly querying, they're not actually using the software. They're just making the software query. Using the free version of the software, that ends up costing those companies thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. And it makes them take a real tangible hit. Like, I would like to be able to make something like that happen, but I'm not a large enough channel for that. And I also don't have a bot ready. Jessa says, so DDoS? I mean, functionally, that would be a DDoS. Like, for all intents and purposes, that is no different than a DDoS. It is flooding for a denial of service, but instead of a denial of service, you're not trying to deny service, you are trying to drain money. It's a little bit different because you're trying to drain money. Denial of service hurts end users a lot because they don't end up having access to a thing, especially if it's a thing that they need. Whereas if you're doing something like this, the service isn't being denied. The service is still available to everybody the entire time. You're just making it so that it is too expensive for the companies to continue running. Jessica says, what's DDoS? Denial of service. It is a denial of service. So what you do is you get a bunch of bots to flood a server on a video game that is supposed to be able to hold 10,000 consecutive players. So you make 6,000 bots, throw those 6,000 bots at it, and then suddenly that video game is not able to hold the players who actually want to play the game anymore because the bots are flooding the game itself. And now that the bots are flooding the game, everybody is just unable to get what they want. People are unable to play the game, but the people who are denying the service get to keep on doing that and fucking over the game company that made the game. It's making lots of bots and flooding shit.
AI? Again on Claude? Man, I really should have invested in whatever Claude is. I gotta find this Claude guy. Just kidding, please don't invest in Claude. Yeah, the company basically didn't set any usage limits or spending caps on its employees. And I mean, I don't understand how you spend $500 million worth of AI tokens.
I don't
Maybe he was
either.
asking it to say WWE, which AI weirdly can't do. There was a great video this week of AI trying to say WWE and getting like more and more distressed every time it tried. It just kept going, whoa, 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 whoa. Meanwhile, at Uber, the same thing has apparently also happened. They exhausted their entire 2026 AI budget by April. The company's...
Oh my god, that's great!
Cool. Andrew McDonald, I guess that must be guy's head of pigeons in the company. He said that the costs were becoming harder to justify. So crazy this, but AI was supposed to be so efficient and cheap. Now, Sam Altman, the OpenAI guy, he's responded to concerns. He said that the budgeting has become a huge issue. Now, Sam is, if you don't know, Sam has basically replaced Elon as the guy who steps out to a microphone every day and just kind of says some shit. Usually just goes, yeah, this is a big problem. Elon doesn't do that anymore. He's too busy on X, the everything app, sharing AI images of minorities with the caption, "This is why they renamed W.H. Smith," and then replying to his own tweet with an account pretending to be his own mother, being like, interesting. Companies are just increasingly worried about the sheer amount of money.
Man, it's so weird thinking about that. So, for those of you who weren't on Twitter, for those of you who they do not have your Twitter cherry popped, watching Elon Musk basically see like some white supremacy bullshit and then just retweeting it going, interesting. Like, there's so many people who are Nazis or Nazi adjacent that see that shit and they just wank off horribly to it.
money they're spending on AI. Sam Altman said that at the start of 2026, the concerns never came up in discussions with customers, but recently they've become a huge issue. I mean, yeah, duh, you're not going to say to them like, hey, buy our AI. By the way, this will bankrupt you. You're not going to mention that up front. Now, he said that they need to figure this out because the next stage that he wants to get to is what's called, quote, constant running proactive AI, which is an autonomous AI which runs on its own without being prompted. Just an AI that can think for itself, running all the time with no humans. How quickly will all the nukes be detonated? It's just
okay, so you know how one of the biggest problems with AI, there's a lot of problems with AI, but like one of the bigger problems with AI that we know is the fact that if you let it constantly train, you eventually hit garbage in, garbage out mode. And when you hit garbage in, garbage out mode, that is where it is constantly scraping its own data and it is getting so much incorrect information at that point because it functionally is no longer able to tell like fucking reality from anything because it is just reading its own internal shit every single time. And it's really funny. It's really funny that that's a thing that ends up happening eventually, but I don't want to see that happen with something that has actual control over like something that matters in people's lives. Please don't.
Detonated. It's just ridiculous. Also, what's the point of that? Just having a computer in the back of the office just running an AI all the time. To do what? To achieve what? Meanwhile, in the Vatican, the Pope has published an encyclical, which is just kind of like a big statement, where he was pretty damning of AI and kind of modern capitalism in general. It was actually pretty awesome. There was a lot of really good quotes. He quoted Lord of the Rings in it. This is a kind of a long quote, but I think it's quite good. He said, quote, "In our globalized world, the tendency to let the logic of efficiency, control, and profit alone shape personal, social, and economic decisions is a bad thing. This makes it clear that technology is not simply a tool. When it becomes the standard by which everything is judged, it begins to dictate what matters and what can be discarded, reducing creation to an object of exploitation and human beings to mere cogs in a system driven towards ever greater efficiency." I'd actually recommend you read more.
Yeah, dope. Okay, so this is one of the issues that I have with a lot of people who tout AI as like one of the greatest things on the fucking planet. Because most of the time, you end up getting to this point where you go, hey, I have a question. Do you care about a thing being made by a person? Do you care about the process by which it is made? Or do you exclusively care about the end result? If you exclusively care about the end result, then I can at least understand why you would want to use this tech for everything, because you don't actually give a shit about any of your work. But, I mean, if you do, part of the journey to anything is learning the skills to get there. Jessa says, does it make me more money? It means to make lots of money.
More of this. It's very easy to read. You can just Google Pope AI and it's like the first thing that comes up. Basically, the whole thing in it is him being like, AI is dangerous. It's very clearly controlled by the richest people who control what it thinks. And we should elevate human beings and celebrate humans. And it's actually just refreshing to hear anyone say this at the moment. What does this all mean? Will the AI bubble burst? I mean, we do keep seeing kind of memes of people sharing like how much is invested in AI versus, for example, how much money AI produces, which does feel very bubbly because it produces so much less money than it costs. Also, once again, no one can name a single thing that AI can actually do. Companies have also just...
Okay, so I want to like this video because there's a lot of points that it's making that I think are good, but I think that particular jab, anybody who's watching this video who's in the pro AI crowd, they're going to take that particular jab and they're just going to focus on that and then just start naming off all of the things that the technology can do. Because the technology does it, like, there are a bunch of things that it can do. The problem is that it's a lot of things that it can do, and some of those things it can't do well. Stego says, sirs, did you hear about the new Cuphead game coming out? Nope, because I'm not really a Cuphead enjoyer. I've never played the series, and I know that it's fantastic, but I just haven't got there.
Broadly started kind of backtracking on how much AI is forced on people. I mean, Copilot has been really scaled back in Windows because no one was using it. Generally speaking, across the board, people are speaking out against it.
See here. Marco says, if I was to pull a possible theory out of my butt, I could see a reason why they want to have one that runs its own being a marketing stunt. A common criticism people have for LLM AI never being AGI is that it has no direction of its own. It's entirely reactive. So if you have one that works on its own in big air quotes, they can go, see, we're going to make the machine good God any day now. I think that everybody that is like chomping at the bit for fucking, whatchamacallit, I think everybody that is chomping at the bit as hard as they can in order to get us to AGI is just really fucking scared of Roko's Basilisk. I'm thoroughly convinced that that's what's going on. It's just a bunch of people who are scared of Roko's Basilisk, who want to do anything they possibly can to make their machine gods happy in the interim. But like, said it can do your mom, AI can scam you out of everything though. You'd have to be specific on the how.
Backrooms director Kane Parsons said that if he could make generative AI disappear forever, he probably would. Quote, creatively, I get no enjoyment from using those tools.
Fuck yeah. If it disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't fucking care.
Defeats the purpose entirely for me, which I agree with. The point of creative stuff is to do the thing. It's fun to do the thing. But sadly, Marty Scorsese, the star of Mandalorian and Grogu, he said that he was embracing AI. He said that you could use it to help convey his ideas, quote, more clearly and efficiently to my creative team.
But, wait, that was already somebody's job. That already was somebody's job to do. Why do you need the robot to do that? Like, there was already somebody who was doing the job of turning your ideas into things. So generative AI demanding you must invest in it or you'll be left behind. 1111 exclamation mark, guys, it's the future. I'm just so confused. Said, holy hell, the Pope statement is long. I mean, yeah, it's the Pope.
He said, quote, I recently tested this out on a scene and the ability to visualize and immediately share the storyboard was creatively freeing. He added, during the pre-production process, time costs money and this allowed us to move faster without sacrificing quality or craft. So he's basically...
Okay, so here's my problem with that, though. So when you use AI to generate something, the information has to come from somewhere, right? Like, we know that instinctively. We know the information is coming from somewhere. And that somewhere is usually going to be from another human being at some point in the production process, right? Which means that if your goal is to like legitimately develop a new thing, you want to have a new idea, you want to make something new, that's the thing that you care about specifically in this scenario, then you need to be okay with the fact, and I think you shouldn't be okay with the fact, that anything that the AI spits out is not going to be unique. It can't be unique. Because by its very nature, it is grabbing a thing out of its scraped data set. It lacks the ability, it fundamentally lacks the ability to create something new. That is something that makes AI what it is currently. It needs to scrape everything, and unlike a human being that will take the combined experiences that they have and make something from that, the AI homogenizes a bunch of things together and then tries to create something that it thinks you want, which is very different from the way that the human creative process works. Stega says, something like this is why I see Gen AI as a net negative for society and the planet. Any small benefits, maybe. Write emails faster. Is a rigged game of craps when you have 40-50% getting snake eyes. I only know snake eyes because of Cuphead. So, here's the cool thing about utilitarian ethics, and here's the agitating thing about utilitarian ethics as a utilitarian. When we are saying something is ethical or is not, we are making the declarative statement that we ourselves have, in fact, measured every single possible outcome and angle that could possibly come from this thing. And realistically, most of us have not. Realistically, most people have not. And that's not a bad thing, but it's very hard to make that declarative statement, especially when a lot of these AI companies, one of the big problems with them is they are actively not communicating their accurate power usage. They're not communicating the accurate way that any of their shit is processed. They're not accurately communicating how their stuff is being scraped. They're doing what they can to be as untransparent as possible. Said, but it makes people insane unless it doesn't make people insane. No. We're going to stop that one. We're going to stop that one. If you want to make a point against the AI, I want to help you. You cannot use the insanity. That doesn't work, because we have done studies on AI psychosis and found that it is not a causative link. The person who goes insane utilizing technology was somebody who was already prone to that and already had an issue to begin with, which means our argument is now about exacerbation, not about causation. But when we try to make it about causation, we look dumb because science is not on our side on that one. We need to reframe that argument as it exacerbates previously existing problems. It doesn't make somebody insane. The person was already insane to begin with. Said exactly, it makes it worse, but not the source. Right. And then that invites the other ways that we possibly can make things worse. It is a slippery hole to fall down. It is a very slippery hole to fall down. But if we talk about exacerbation, it is better. Skit says, it doesn't make them insane, but it does direct the form the psychosis takes. No, not really. Not really. So remember, the AI is a mirror. So the guy who tried to go kill the queen, of England, when he did that, it was because he already wanted to kill the Queen of England. What the AI did for him then was let him organize the way that he wanted to go about it, and it was a mirror for his twisted logic. But it is a mirror. It did not produce anything there. As I said, sometimes it's just like saying, that guy didn't start the house fire, they just poured petrol. Right, but I understand your point. So wait, isn't the queen dead? This is a thing that happened a while ago, Stego. This is a thing that happened a while ago. This is old news. The problem with that argument, as much as I want to believe that it is a good argument, is that when you go down the path of, oh, well, it's the person who pulled the petrol. Okay, fine. Fair. But why did they pour the petrol? Like, now we are starting to have a different conversation about a different analogy. When you are doing that, when you are doing the kick the can thing, as opposed to what I'm trying to do, which is not the kick the can thing, you risk muddying the waters of what it is. Said Skit, but that's what I mean. It structured his psychosis like a guy. There's a difference. Man wants to kill queen. Man receives specific actionable instructions to kill the queen. Right, but he would have gotten those instructions going like... Okay, here's how you determine, and we're going to stop with the analogies, we're going to stop with the details. We are going to do this the way that it is properly done in scientific fields. Period. We are done with hypotheticals. We are going to talk about raw numbers. That is the only thing that matters. Because if you want to argue this point better, you have to do that. Because any hypothetical, any analogy, it's a method of trying to make something easier to communicate, but it is not necessarily accurate. So, what you would do, at least your first step, the first step that you would do, is you would look at greater trends of violence, and greater trends of violence that are linked specifically with mental health issues like insanity, and you would see if those trends have increased correlative with the proliferation of AI. That's what you would do. That would be your first step to at least determining a correlative link. Stego says, it makes people less able to learn. You lose skills and parts of your brain literally shut down from no use. Right. Which is also what happens when you are supposed to memorize a phone number and you instead put it in a Rolodex. That's just a function of how the human brain works. It is offloading a task, and we can go back and forth on whether or not a person should be allowed to offload tasks, but I don't know if that's necessarily a productive rabbit hole. I said MAGA has always been anti-American, anti-gay, it's just obvious now. Yep, that's fair. That is also true.
Actually using it to do storyboards and prevising. Not very good for the humans whose job it is to do storyboards and...
That's the fucking point that I wanted to make, or that I did make earlier. You already had somebody whose job it was to take your idea, visualize it, and transform it into something actionable. Like, that was already a thing that you were paying somebody to do. All you did by having the robot do it is you just took a job away from somebody. A job that somebody could have been using, that somebody was using to pay for their livelihood. You've just taken a job away from that person so that you could, be a little faster? Like, is that really all you got out of that? Because I'm gonna be honest, I think that rushing movies and getting them out faster and faster and faster is stupid. Like, we used to take a lot longer to make movies, and I don't think that current movies have gotten any better. I think that we've just gotten better at making ones that look pretty. Grok, how do I do cell respiration? My mitochondria isn't working. Also, make them nude. Anselin says, I was listening to a radio story today about a college professor saying that none of the students in his class could read a 20-page article he had assigned. The fuck? Oh, you know what? That makes sense, because they're probably going into ChatGPT and they are just trying to say, hey, ChatGPT, summarize this for me. Please don't do that, by the way. Please don't do that. Please read.
Pre-visiting, who are naturally very annoyed about this. Marty's at the point now where, I mean, was he like 80 years old? It's like, you can just say stuff, you know. We're just, good for you, Marty. But also, I love that quote of like, we're not sacrificing any quality or craft by using AI to do storyboarding.
But you are. If you use the AI for storyboarding, then you sacrificed the craft of storyboarding. You not only sacrificed all the people who learned how to storyboard, and therefore lowered the amount of people who will be needed later who know how to storyboard, therefore lowering the amount of people who are going to retain the skill of storyboarding, but you've also just taken those jobs away.
It's like, yeah, you are. The quality will be bad, and the craft comes from people. It's quite funny, the whole AI story, because I do think, broadly speaking, it's this thing that's kind of happening on its own over here. Like, I do understand that there is massive uptake on things like ChatGPT from the consumer side. Like, as much as we all bemoan AI, like, a lot of regular people are using AI in some capacity. But broadly speaking, the whole AI bubble is happening over here, which is these huge waves and troughs. And it kind of feels like NFTs or any of these other things where it will just rise and fall, and the bubble will burst in a very short period of time, and everyone will be like, what happened over there? It just won't even touch most people's lives. Already these companies have decided it's too expensive and impractical to use, so it's kind of already over. And did it ever really begin? And also okay, look, I'm not a coder. I'm not a computer kind of guy, right? Maybe, I don't know what all these computer people are doing at Amazon with all this AI, but like, what could you be doing on a day-to-day basis where you need this much? Are you just using...
Yeah, I don't know what you would need at that point in general. Def says, just copy the article into a text-to-speech program and follow along with the article. You don't need to shove it in ChatGPT and get a half-baked summary. Yeah, ChatGPT will truncate important things out of anything you use it for. Like, it will just start taking important bits of information and forgoring them.
Using it as a really expensive Google all the time that lies to you. Like, I don't really understand where all this energy is going. Maybe you work in tech and you can answer in the comments how they're managing to use these many tokens. It is funny that, as much as Altman and all these people talk about, like, it's the future. Like, if it's the future, then why are you charging for it? I know you got to cover your costs, but like, if it's the future and it's this like important thing for humanity, make it free. Give it out to everyone.
Yeah, if it's the future, then I actually am on board with that. Just, if you're gonna make it a thing that everybody can't live without, then I guess it's a human right at that point, right? We can't live without it, right? Lagwitch has not mentioned the whole hallucination problem, which just makes shit up because it fits the pattern. Yup. Marco De Geo says multi-agent setup and all query each other, plus sudden change in token pricing equals, the bill's $500,000. Good. Make the bill ginormous and make the AI companies pay for it.
To use. Oh no, at the end of the day, this is just an exchange of goods and services like everything else. And like, now it's too expensive and no one's going to use it anymore.
I will introduce the American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund Act. This legislation would give the public a direct ownership stake in the largest AI companies in America.
Well, I mean, it will affect everyone because the entire global economy somehow is just completely leveraged now on AI in some way or another. So that's good. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Have you met this Claude character? Have you felt one of his tokens? What are they?
Jesus fucking Christ! It's a right then, evil laughs in Nestle. Jesus Christ. Nestle trying to go all like, no, water's not a human right. Why would water be a human right? I don't know, Nestle. Probably because it fucking is, because we need it to live. I get a base level. Fuck ass.
Let me know in the comments down below. And now we come to the secret question to reward your good attention span for making it all the way to the end. And we'll keep it AI related. Actually, before that, there was an amazing quote that I cannot remember, but it was from somebody who worked at Google DeepMind, which is like their really like advanced, I think, AI and kind of, you know, super science division. And he had this amazing quote about AI becoming sentient, because, you know, a lot of people will genuinely believe that AI can like think for itself one day.
A large language model cannot become sentient. It is not possible, based on how we understand sentience, for a large language model to gain sentience. And every single person who is just snorting up cocaine, hoping that it will happen, it's not. It's just not. It's really not. Deal with it. Fucking deal with it.
And like Sam Altman keeps saying that's going to happen. But he had this great quote about how AI cannot think, it can only kind of almost do like a graph of thinking. And he was like, it's the equivalent of how you can do loads and loads of simulations of gravity on a computer, but that doesn't mean that the computer will develop gravity. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can do amazing computer simulations of gravity. That doesn't mean things are going to get sucked towards the animation. And he's like, that's what AI is like. It can simulate thinking really well. That doesn't mean it's going to suddenly just start thinking. So disabuse yourself of that notion. Okay, secret question, we'll keep it AI related. You're organizing a stag do, a bachelor party, or a hen do, right? You're getting married. You get to invite all of your friends. You have to also invite one of the 7 dwarfs from Snow White, and you can't invite Happy. Who are you inviting? Do you really want Sneezy there?
Dopey. I want either Dopey or Sleepy. I want them to either be the fun one on drugs, or I want them to be one that I just don't give a shit about, and they're going to be gone. It's one of the two.
Sleepy might be good because he's not getting in the way. And then there's Doc. No one really knows what he does. I think he's the one that had the, what are they called? Nunchucks. He was the nunchuck one. Let me know which of them you'd like to go on a trip with. Alternatively, if you don't want to pick one of them, let me know which of Santa's reindeer you would like to take. And, you know, is it Blitzen?
Okay. You know what, fine. Okay, so thoughts on the video and critiques, as well as things that I think are good. The information in the video, good, solid, fantastic. As for the presentation, also good, solid, fantastic. The humor in the video, the humor in the video was really, really good. My only complaint was nobody can really say what it does. Because you can. Like, we know how a large language model works. We know what it does. We know exactly how it produces what it does, or how it synthesizes it. It doesn't really produce things. Like, we know how those things operate. We don't need to pretend like that's not the case. Like, we can make good points. We can make good points about AI instead of making bad points about AI. We have far stronger arguments if we focus on making good points. And things just get way easier for us as a result if we focus on making good points. But that's just me. That said, I did think it was enjoyable. Again, the channel was scroll deep, and the video was AI's downfall is bitterly ironic. I'm gonna be honest, I think it's worth a watch. I think it was definitely worth the watch that I did. All things considered. Said, found the not paywalled article for Tom's Hardware, the Utah Data Center, campus approved. Gotcha. Do the reindeer even have to be, even have defined personalities? I don't think so, outside of, like, that one puppet movie. Okay, so new AI data center will generate and consume more than twice the amount of power the entire state uses. Kevin O'Leary's 9 gigawatts Utah data center. Campus approved. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give my first problem with this. You know that if we have any technology that uses more power than the previous technology to whatever degree, we can use this exact same scary line of dialogue as anything else. Like, it using a lot of power doesn't matter so much if we're using nuclear power or other clean power. It does matter if we're using coal. If it's in an area that's using coal, then this is a big fucking huge fucking goddamn it ginormous fucking problem. If it is nuclear, not really. But also, God, look, there's so much RAM in there, we could just steal the RAM. We could just steal all the RAM, and nobody would know. Or like, what, would Gemini just stop working in the state for like a minute? Fuck it. Easy RAM. All the RAM. Utah's Military Installation Development Authority on Friday approved a development agreement for a hyperscale data center campus in Box Elder County that could eventually consume 9 gigawatts of power, more than double the state's. Okay, well, that's another one. Could eventually consume. Could. And 9 gigawatts of power in what amount of time is the other thing. More than double the state's current electricity use of roughly 4 gigawatts. According to that, the project, dubbed Stratos, is being developed by O'Leary Digital, an infrastructure arm of Shark Tank's investor capital O'Leary, and would span 40,000 acres of private land and 1,200 acres of military and state-owned property. I believe... Hold on. How do I spell his last name? Okay, so, fun fact about this one, actually. This specific data center, this one right here, KFox, the editor of these videos, is actively trying to deal with this shit. So KFox, through lobbying, protesting, doing, politics that aren't just voting, managed to cripple one of the AI denizators that was actually being built near her. Now it has an ordinance against AI. It can't be attached to the main power grid. It only gets enough water for basic bathroom and drinking water needs. And if it wants any more of that shit, it is entirely on its own because it has to provide it via solar power. So it is forced to use green energy. Again, that's the good part. It is forced to use green energy to come up with its own needs. So now it's just a normal data center after KFox harassed City Council about it. That said, the Kevin O'Leary one, this one specifically, is one she was complaining about being a whole lot harder to fight. Because this one apparently has a lot more money behind it. And the more money it has behind it, the harder it is to get politicians to do jack all. Phase 1 calls for 3 gigawatts of a generation capacity. At full build-out, the campus would reach 9 gigawatts, all produced on-site through a connection to the Ruby pipeline. No, don't. Why are you building future tech on gasoline? Why are you doing that? What the fuck is your problem? If you're trying to make future technology that is supposed to be better for people down the road, why are you feeding it off of a finite resource that we are already struggling to produce more of? Natural gas, we don't have an infinite amount of that, or crude. Said money, yeah, if they had an agreement with like fucking Exxon or some shit. Natural gas is the future, baby. Welcome to the cyberpunk dystopia. Yuki King, thank you for the follow. That baffles my mind. Why would you want it running off of fossil fuel? What? What is the benefit there? Like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. Why? O'Leary appeared at the MDIA board meeting by video and made the case that the project is needed in response to China's burgeoning AI infrastructure investments. China built 400 gigawatts of new power over the last 24 months, and much of it is powering AI data centers. I'm just going to ask, why do we think that we are actively in conflict with China? I don't get that. Margaret just says, on the one hand, I appreciate they didn't do what that one data center did, where they signed an exclusivity deal with a bunch of city power plants, forcing the city to have to find a new power provider. On the other hand, LOL. Oh, thank you for the hydrate stuff. Was that the one, I think it was Tacoma, where 50,000 residents had to like scramble to figure out how they were going to get power? Is that American exceptionalism at its core? It's silly. Just remember, wind energy is noisy and causes autism, according to somebody who can't stay awake to give a speech. Fucking hell. Anyway, there's our usual fuck AI video that I keep making every single day. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagittarius, you know I'm not saying that last part, Sylvie Snow, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.